What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my unit review and builds guide for Winter Eikthynir, our latest Tempest Trial unit, and this time he is a blue cavalry beast and he does have delivering antler as his preferred weapon, so it doesn't give him minus and special cooldown like his mythic version. Instead he gets +3 defense, but just like mythic Eikthynir, he's able to give out the +6 attack and defense buff and the bonus doubler status. And on top of it, after the Aether turn skills have triggered, he grants the additional +3 buff to the highest bonus on each stat. So if you basically have the Aether turn buffing skills, you can get +9 to all of your stats and then take advantage of bonus doubler. So this is really good for the support, and he is going to be outclassing young Frederick in a way when it comes to being a bonus doubler free-to-play support unit. And for the in-combat effects, it is going to be working always in his player phase, but in the enemy phase, he is going to be needing to be in 2 spaces of an ally. I really wish that this was 3 space range, because 2 space range nowadays is not enough, but still he's able to get a lot of attack and defense debuffs on the foe in the combat, depending on 6 plus 20% of his visible defense, which is really high at base 48, and it also has a super boon, which you're likely going to be picking up if you're going to be spending any trait fruits on him, and he also gets +3 defense out of this weapon itself. So this is going to be around -17 attack and defense debuff, which is quite a lot for a free-to-play unit. And then he has got the dull attack defense built into this weapon, so he's going to be ignoring any kind of visible buffs of opponents' attack and defense, and he also has the attack and defense null debuffs effect, so you don't really need to run him with a Clash 4 skill or a Unity skill because of this effect. And he also gets the guaranteed follow-up attack, which does help him as a really slow base 20 speed unit, and he also gets the similar true damage to his mythic version depending on the highest total buffs among himself and the allies in 3 spaces. Unfortunately, this is not going to be getting added into the AoE special, but this is essentially a better treachery effect because you're going to be depending on the visible buffs of yourself for the true damage, and even if the opponent has any kind of lull skill or dull skill, you're going to be counting the visible buffs of your allies, so that way you still get the true damage and get that kind of damage output. And being a cavalry beast unit, he can get even more attack and defense debuff in the combat, and you also get the pierceable 30% damage reduction, which I guess can help you if you're going to be trying to tank, because unfortunately he doesn't really get a lot of damage reduction out of this weapon outside of this cavalry beast effect. And comparing him with mythic Eikthynir side by side, he is going to be basically a watered down version of him. He is going to be having attack and defense debuffs. He also has the same support, so at least he's going to be a really good support unit. He can also hit really hard because of the better treachery effect, but mythic Eikthynir has got the slaying effect, which is really helpful for utilizing sturdy beast, and he also gets the flat damage reduction, which is why he's a melee threat, because he can survive things easily and debuff the opponent's attack and then kill them with his true damage. He also has the divine strength slot B skill, which unfortunately, obviously, our Winter Eikthynir is simply not going to be having access to. It's an incredible slot B skill, which gives him the instant transformation. It also has the dual phase self-cleansing. Now, you might think that the null debuffs effect on Winter Eikthynir might help with that, but keep in mind that the self-cleansing of mythic Eikthynir is going to be getting rid of any kind of negative status effects. So he is never going to be getting affected by the panic status or the stall status from the Aether turn skills, so that is really good, and it's not going to be easy to replicate the -17 attack and defense debuff that you get out of the skill. But still, the dull attack defense for Winter Eikthynir's weapon is going to be helping him with the stat swing, so it's not the worst thing honestly for a free-to-play unit, and he's going to be having similar nuking and support, and stat-wise he is going to be having similar attack, but obviously when it comes to the bulk, it might seem like Winter Eikthynir has got more of it, but in reality mythic Eikthynir simply has the flat damage reduction. So Winter Eikthynir is easily one of the best free-to-play units that we have got in the Grail pool, and he is definitely one of the best units from this year with Marnie and Panette, and unfortunately his skills are not the greatest. Solid Ground is pretty nice at 5-star rarity whenever we get the crystalline version equivalent of this skill, but Breath of Life 3 is not really needed that much. We all have a lot of Felicia combat manuals, so this is going to be the 4-star skill, which is not going to be bringing a lot of value. So Winter Eikthynir is going to be a unit that a lot of people are going to be investing in, and even if you don't have Mythic Eikthynir, I think he's a fantastic support unit and can be competitively viable. It's just that he's going to be taking a lot of expensive fodder, which I mean most of the Grail units do, and at least he's going to be nuking well. But unfortunately, bonus doubler status is going to be a bit susceptible to deploy skill, which is going to be disabling it as a status effect, and also the dull effects that we have been seeing. Marnie has got the dull alt status, and then we have got the dull effect in these fortune skills nowadays. So that is something you need to watch out for, and there's of course the good old panic. And because he lacks the flat damage reduction compared to Mythic Eikthynir, he is not going to be able to function as much as a tank because of not having it. You cannot really try and replace it with the pierceable damage reduction. If you want to use him as a tank, you will be needing someone like Sethead to give you the flat damage reduction, and even though he is post Choose Your Legends 8, he is not going to be having enough BST to score high in arena. Even Cyril, who's an older Grail unit, is going to be able to score more. Now sure, Eikthynir is way better unit than Cyril, both in terms of combat and support, but still every single point of score matters in arena, especially if you're a free-to-play player. So it's a bit of a shame that he's not able to score high in arena, and beast units cannot even equip the distant counter melee Sacred Seal. We don't really have distant counter beast Sacred Seal, otherwise he would be able to score a bit higher because of having a preferred weapon. On an absolute budget, you could keep Solid Ground. It does help with his weapon for getting more debuffs, and you could run Bonfire as a special because he does have a lot of defense, and Emblem Secret Ring is by far going to be his best emblem right now because it gives him the 4 movement and also gives him the flat canto, which he doesn't really have in his weapon like Mythic Eikthynir. And then in the slots, you could try and run Speed Resistance Gap from a 4-star Miranda. So this way you're able to buff up an ally and give them +9 buff to all of their stats, which can be really good. But you could always try and run Resistance Tactic or Speed Tactic and just try and buff up your allies. Hit and Run is going to be a nice budget skill for a Cavalier with the Emblem Secret Ring, so it could be the slot B of choice, and then Attack Defense Clash can give you the extra offenses. If you're going to be plus in merging him, but if you don't want to break the bank, then this is a build that you could try and have with the Divine Codes and Limited Ephemera. So you could keep Bonfire, but instead you could run Emblem Marth to make it a 2 cooldown special, and Attack Defense Catch could be run in the slot A. You don't really need Attack Defense Clash for badly on him because he already gets the attack and defense null debuff, so with his weapon you can still run the cat skill, and because he doesn't have the canto in his weapon, you could run the Neotray skill, which we have gotten on Ninja Cherche. So a lot of slot B options are going to be quite expensive, so on a budget this can work out. And from the same Divine Codes manual of Zeke, you can also get Defense Res Menace at the same time, which again can work fine on a budget. But if you do have a bit more of a fodder for giving to him, then the best fodder for him is going to be he himself. So Mythic Eikthynir is going to be getting rerun at the end of this month in December, and he does want Fierce Beast, Attack Defense Excel, and Beast Threaten from his Mythic version. Fierce Beast is easily the best special for him because it provides you with the full damage reduction piercing, it scales off your high attack stat, so it's the perfect special when he lacks the minus and special cooldown in his weapon, and then Attack Defense Excel can give you the flat damage reduction. It also works really well with the Emblem Secret Ring, and Beast Threaten can give you the panic effect on the enemy and also the debuffs, and it does have the Time Pulse 3 effect. And Counter Roar is pretty much going to be showing you the lack of options that we have for slow Beast Cavaliers, so there are not too many skills that it could run, and Counter Roar can still give you the damage reflection in its limited scope and give you the true damage. So at least you're going to be able to hit a bit harder with this, along with all of the true damage that he has got in his weapon. So this can be an option if you do not have the insane expensive skills for his slot B that I'm going to be showing in a moment. And if you're going to be ascending an asset, then you could just go with his attack asset. That is going to be helping you a lot with Fierce Beast. Squad Ace BT Sacred Seal is also something that you could run for a bit more of bulk with the HP and the visible defense, but attack defense clash 3 is always going to be a really nice option. You could also try and feed him Brave Alphonse, who's also going to be at the end of this month on the Emblem Hero banner, and he is going to be not able to make the full use out of reopening because he does have the guaranteed follow-up attack. But still, it is going to be giving you the flat damage reduction and the true damage based on his defense, even if you get the 10% of it, which is still going to be better than the pierceable damage reduction of Counter Roar. So this is going to be one of the few defensive skills that he could run, which unfortunately doesn't have the best synergy with his weapon, but if you're trying to tank, then this is something that you could try and run. And then you get the Fortifications and Breath of Life 4 at the same time from Brave Alphonse. So with Fortifications, you could set up the stone terrain and then get the distant counter effect. And because he's a Cavalier and because he's really powerful with his nuking, he can easily kill something and then set up the stone tiles so he doesn't have that kind of problem. And then he could retreat with the Canto and then take advantage of the Breath of Life 4. Breath of Life 4 also acts as a support skill that he could give to your other allies, along with his bonus doubler effect. So any kind of tank that is going to be stat stacking with his bonus doubler and his visible buffs is going to be liking this kind of Breath of Life support and the healing, and this can really help you against the AoE specials and any kind of pre-combat damage that may still be lurking out there. And the best build for him is going to be by far this build. Momentum is going to be the best slot B skill because Winter Eikthynir is a lot more offensively oriented than Mythic Eikthynir. Mythic Eikthynir can work either of the ways, but unlike Mythic Eikthynir, he doesn't really have minus and special cooldown to run Sturdy Beast. He doesn't have the flat damage reduction, so your best way of utilizing his power is by nuking. And Momentum 4 is going to be giving you the special jump, and this way you can instantly trigger Fierce Beast, and the true damage of Momentum is going to be stacking up with the true damage of his weapon. So he can hit extremely hard, and you basically need Emblem Sigurd and Mythic Eikthynir that are both going to be at the end of the month in this Emblem Hero banner, so they absolutely want you to summon on that banner. And Beast Threaten is still a pretty nice skill to be used, even though you get the special jumping out of Momentum, because initially it can help you get past the Scowl effect by making use of the Momentum 4 special jumping as you get the Time Pulse 3 effect out of Beast Threaten. So it can be useful, but I guess you could also try and run some other slotsy skills. And Fierce Beast, like I said, is going to be the best special here. And you could also try and run Distant Counter Echo if you really want to spoil him with some kind of attune skill. Cavaliers do not have a lot of options, and this is basically going to be the main one. Momentum is going to be still giving you the true damage in the enemy phase. It's just that the special jumping only works in the player phase. If in the future we ever get the Neotrace Echo, then he could try and run this build with Sturdy Beast, with Emblem Marth Ring. So that is going to be an option, but still the flat Canto 3 out of the Emblem Sigurd Ring is really good. And then you could also run him in Aether Raids offense in the light season for the bonus doubler support, and you could just use him with the Rue skill. And he's not going to be as good of a roll compression unit like Mythic Eikthynir, but still you could run Barricade and prevent any kind of warping, and also give the debuff neutralization support to your allies. He already has the attack and defense debuff neutralization, but he could use this for getting that on his resistance as well. And then you could just try and use him as a cleanup unit and kill things similar to how you would use Mythic Eikthynir. And then finally, in the future, if we get attack defense fortune, that could be a slot A skill that he could try and run. It does overlap a bit with his weapon with the dull attack defense effect, but it's mainly there for him to easily transform and also make the full use out of Sturdy Beast. So that can be something you could try and do. Again, he's not the best Sturdy Beast user because of not having the minus and special cooldown weapon, and he's going to be needing a bit of support. But if you are trying to use him defensively, then this is something you could try and do. Hopefully we can get a better slot B skill than reopening for these lower calves, but until then, this is going to be your main option. I want to thank all of my 2 members for their constant support, and you can click the link on the screen right now to check out my breakdown of the winter banner. And make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the amount of rearmed beast units that we've got in this game. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.